So that I can show you how to clean up your work, let's just imagine that this was your drawing and you wanted to do that in Illustrator, and trying, this is the best you can come up with. You're really unhappy about the way some of these edges are looking here, and you couldn't figure out how to color in every other black square. So let's take a look at how we could use this as a starting ground, like a sketch under our work to get perfection. So what I would say is, if you haven't got this far where you have at least something to help you out, go ahead, knock that out. Like I said, create as many layers as you need. Then we'll come back, we'll lock them, we'll create some more layers, and we'll start working on top of this. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go down here, click the new layer, and if you want the layer to be on top, make sure that you're clicked on the very top thing, which that would make sense in this case to put it up top. And then with these locked, we don't have to worry about selecting any of the things below. And let's make this rectangular shape first. Now, the problem that occurs when you have multiple shapes next to each other, which is kind of what's going on here. Maybe you drew this front face first, and then you tried to do at least 3 sides of this next thing, or maybe you did all 4 sides. But either way, it's at a different angle, so the strokes work different. Now, you could click this piece here, and I mean, that's not the name of the game, what I want to show you here, but I just want you to be aware of some of these things. Is that if you now go into properties, you go to stroke, actually click on it there, it'll open up the panel for it, and you can play around with these align stroke options. So if you click here, it fills more from the inside of the stroke, but you can see it creates its own set of problems down here, and then you can go from the outside, which makes things even worse, or back to the norm, which is the center. So experiment with this every now and then, because it may really help to what you're doing. And experiment with the other options in here. This just controls how corners, but remember, we can't use anything rounded. Maybe this option, actually that's probably the best help so far, is just changing the ends. But let's just look at some alternate ways of doing this. So we're going to go back, lock our layers, and start. Only I let you use different colors of gray. We could probably knock something out in Pathfinder and then turn the strokes off and just fill all 3 of these with a different color gray. But every now and then you're going to be in a situation where you need something pretty elaborate outlined. So here's what I've learned from experience, is if you just trace the very outer part of this, so imagine for a second like everything's filled in with black, and you were just tracing the very outside of it. Just temporarily, because we're not allowed to use color here, I'm going to change the stroke to red. It'll help you see what I'm doing. So I go back to the pen tool, and I'm just going to stay to the outside of this. So click there, just keep playing, connect the dots. And don't be afraid to get in close, and I'll show you an alternative if you were kind of lazy like I just was there and I didn't get in close. So finish your drawing, and then what we're going to do is get in close and analyze one thing at a time. But before we do that, I just want to make it clear what I drew. So I'm going to turn both of these eyeballs off, and you see what I did was I got just the very outer thing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in here. And with us zoomed in, we're going to make sure that nothing is selected, and we're going to grab this direct selection tool, so the white selection tool. So we'll click away on nothing, and then you can see this is riding up a little bit. Sometimes it's hard with these guides where things want to snap. So what I found is sometimes if you just go way away from it and then click and drag again, you can get a little bit more accuracy. And then I'm just scrolling through here. You can do that by using the hand tool. I'm on a laptop, so I'm just using my fingers, but you can also go over here and grab this hand and pull your way through. That angle looks good there. Yeah, this one's really messed up here. So once again, direct selection tool, click away, click. I'm going to drag way away just so I can see what I'm after. So I want to be about right there, and then scroll my way through again. Actually, this looks just a little bit high here. All right, not bad. Now I can draw these inside strokes with more ease because they're not going to connect to here and make them pop out. So once again, I'm just going to zoom in, get what I need here. So I'm going back to the pen tool. I'll leave that stroke on red. And since this is not selected, I should be able to click here even on the same layer to put the point there. Put another anchor point here, work my way down, click right in there, and you can see, I'll hit escape, you can see nothing sticking out awkwardly from those edges. And then we're just going to repeat the same thing coming back this way. So first thing, and here's a little shortcut. If you hit the command key, you go back to the last selection tool you had, and now I can click on nothing. I'm deselected from everything. Click here now. Come back this way. And that's pretty good. And it looks like, based on what I'm seeing here, that the stroke remembered that last setting where I beveled those edges, because I can see that beveled edge here. So actually, I don't want that in this case. So I'm going to command minus out. I'm going to, with the eyeballs off and the locks locked, I can't select the wrong stuff. So I'm just going to draw a big marquee around all of this. And then I'm going to go back into properties, click on stroke, and I'm going to put it back to full corners. And then I'll zoom in here, take a look, but I can tell everything's nice, crisp, clean, no like semi-smoothing of it with that other feature. Now let's tackle this pattern here. So we may as well turn this one off and lock it, and then we'll make a new layer. So for this one, think about what you know that I've shown you already that might work to draw here. Pause if you want. The solution that I'm going to go with, now there's multiple ways to do this. You could literally come in here and draw each and every square independently and then just stroke this one and then fill this one, and this one would only have a stroke and so on. But I'm going to use the Pathfinder. So I'm going to take the pen tool, make sure that I'm on the new layer here, and I'm going to come all the way up to this corner. I'm going to get just a little bit closer, Command plus, so that I'm not guessing, but I know that I'm right here on it. Stick with the red color for now. Click here, come down, click here. So I'm just making the outer box that I'm going to use. And then with that, now all I need to do is make lines going this way and two lines going at that odd angle. And I'm purposely making them way longer than they need to be because, as you probably remember, the Pathfinder ignores the extra. I gotta hit the escape key before I make the next one. And then I've got those done. Hit the escape key again, and then I'll go up here, click there, come down here, click there, do that one more time. These are the one and only things on that layer. I can either drag a marquee around them to select them, or another trick to select everything that's on one layer is to go over to the layer and click on this little circle right here, and now everything on that layer is selected. If I didn't already have Pathfinder out, I would go Window, Pathfinder, and it would come out here. And with those all selected, I click on the divide option. Then I need to go up to Object and Ungroup. And now I can select just one item. Let me click away. Now I can select just one item at a time, and I'll just move that so you can see what I mean. So Command Z to put that back. In looking at my drawing, it looks like I made these strokes a little bit too thick, so no problem. I'll select them all. I'll go into properties, go to the stroke, and let's kick that down to about 3. That looks a little more realistic. While they're all selected, let me just go ahead and change that stroke color. I'll double click on it to open this up. And I'll just select swatches since black is such a norm. And it's on black now. And why didn't it change? Maybe I lost the selection. So we'll select it again, double click. There we go. Now let's just double check that everything's good with the layers. Let's turn these other ones off now. And let's just focus on here. So with them ungrouped, just have to look at my drawing again, verify which ones are black. And it starts with this one. Now I'm going to zoom way in here so you can see another problem that comes up. It's not going to be quite as evident with a thin stroke. But if I just simply flip-flop the fill and the stroke on this right now, you may notice when I select away and zoom in that that doesn't look right. So here's a little trick that you can do to save you from having to go and retrace these and fill them with just black. It's kind of the equivalent of that. So I'm going to Command Z that, go back to where it was. I have just this one selected. I'm going to go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste in Front. So now I have 2 of these, one sitting on top of the other one, and the way this works is only the new one is selected right now. You just learn that from experience, and then you go over, flip-flop these, and now I have that one filled in. And just to show you, move that away and you can see the one that with the stroke is still there. So Command Z, and then you just keep doing that. So I'll select this one, I'll hold down Shift, select this one, do the Edit Copy, Edit Paste in Front, flip-flop the fill in the stroke, and voila. If I turn this other layer on, I can see that it is still red, so I'll unlock it, click here to select all, go to the stroke, and once again change the color by loading up the black swatch. Okay, it just occurred to me the guides are off, so Command semicolon turns the guides back on, which includes the bleed. So I just want to make sure that I am indeed outside the bleed everywhere. I can see that it's starting to look like my other drawing. Now the odd thing to me about this visually is this rectangle is actually sitting on top of this, let's call it a floor, but yet it looks like the floor is sitting above it. So I'm curious is what it would look like if I made a white piece that would go over the top of this to give it a little more effect. Now, here is an interesting thing. We can't just grab this panel and turn it white because we didn't really draw it that way. Even if we got a hold of this part, no, see that's the outer part. So, but even if we could just get a hold of this, what would happen is you'd still have those problems like you can see from the old drawing here. You know, those little bits would stick out like that. So what we're going to have to do to put a white fill only in here is just simply get really close and then probably also edit. So let's make sure, in fact, I'm going to do this on yet another layer on the very top. I'm going to grab the pen tool, and maybe I'll, you know, this would be one of the rare occasions where I actually draw with the, I'm going to pick a weird color and then we'll change it to white when I'm done. But, so I want to click about right here. I want to be inside. And then I'm just going to scroll all the way down to here, click inside again. go all the way to this opposite end and so on. So I'm going to connect the dots all